Welcome to another edition of Talking Hoops, but this is playoff style, guys. Mark-Kern joined by David-Cassilo and tim-bielik. Guys, we've been working all season towards this. Playoffs are finally here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I mean, basically, we all know that the regular season had its big storylines at the end. We had big games. We had games that we were streaming on our channel. We had conference championships coming right down to the wire. So, but now the slate is wiped clean and it's ready for playoff time.
All right, Tim, let's go talk about one of those games, VASJ and Cleveland Central Catholic. You look at VASJ, so many expectations going into this year. They were on a 2-game losing streak. How big a win was that for them, knowing maybe it wouldn't affect them going to the playoffs, but they needed to get their mojo back?
Oh, it was a huge win, and I think you kind of said it. You can't really go in the playoffs, feeling down. You can't go in there with a 3-game losing streak. So in a way, I feel like it takes a lot of weight off their shoulders. It takes a little bit of pressure knowing that they don't have to right the ship during the postseason, that they could just go right in, with a little momentum and just try and build it up through the district, no doubt about it.
Dave?
Yeah, it's a big win because when you're beating a team of the quality of Central Catholic, that can give you a little confidence heading into the postseason. I still think that Villa Angela St. Joseph is an overwhelming favorite in Division III, but to get that win, a tough road win after 2 losses in a row to quality teams, it really shows that the Vikings kind of put those behind them and regrouped.
Yeah, and I think just last week showed it. Cleveland Central Catholic beat St. Ed's. St. Ed's beat Villa Angela St. Joseph, and then Villa Angela St. Joseph beat CCC. So
our top 5 teams, I mean, they're hard to separate.
Absolutely, and they showed. But before we really get in with some coaches and players, let's kind of just take a look back at the regular season. And Tim, if there was one player you didn't expect to have such a breakout season this year, who was it and why?
I'm going to look at Micah Potter of Menor. I think we knew he was going to have a little bit of an impact. He was getting some Division I offers, but this year he really had a tremendous breakout season. And he does a little everything: score in the paint, defends, rebounds, even shoots the 3. So that's why I was talking to Dave before the show, and I kind of compared him a little bit in a way to Kevin Love because of his ability to work in the post and to shoot the 3. Very multi-dimensional offensive player, but also has the ability to defend well in the paint, so he's been tremendous.
Yeah, and I think he's actually been in the paint a little more than Kevin Love the past few games, definitely for the Cavaliers. Dave, who was someone that kind of surprised you?
Well, I always knew he was a strong player, but Willie Jackson at Garfield-Heights, he took his offensive game to another level this season. When I watched him against Shaker Heights, he was hitting 3-pointers, he was stepping out from the outside and hitting big shots. I mean, he was doing things offensively that he couldn't do a year ago. He's taking some serious strides forward, and he's a reason why Garfield-Heights is sitting as the top seed in the Euclid District.
I think we have someone with us that agrees with that assessment of Willie Jackson for sure. We'll be joined by Coach Sonny Johnson later. All right, maybe now, who was a team, Tim, that really surprised you in a positive way?
I got to look at one of the 3 that finished undefeated, the Lorain Titans, 22-0. I think we kind of had a feeling going into the season of Lorain was going to be good. I don't think we thought they were going to be 22-0 good. I mean, that's a tremendous credit to Coach John Rossitano and those group of guys, Devon Andrews, Rashad Berry, tremendous seniors, with some younger guys stepping like Davier Andrews and Naz Bohannon, who have both had great seasons as well.
All right, and before we get to your answer, Dave, Tim, if there's one thing that maybe worries you about Lorain, what is it?
I think it's just finding a consistent shooting threat from the outside. We know they're great in transition. We know they share the ball well. Devon Andrews, he's one of the best playmakers in the area. I mean, him in transition, offense and defense, he's just so incredible as far as, impacting the game. When you look at the district they're going to be in with teams like Brunswick and St. Ignatius, those are definitely more the grinded-out defensive-type teams. Brunswick in particular with its size and its zone defense, you're going to need shooting to break that down. And I think Lorain, if they really want to go for it, they need to find a guy who can hit that open shot consistently.
And you hear them talk about it in college and in the pros as well when it comes tournament playoff time. The game does slow down a little bit, and for Lorain, they go on a lot of 10-0 runs, but they also give those runs up as well, and that could be the difference in a playoff game. Dave?
Well, I was going to say Lorain too, but I'll mention a couple other teams that really surprised me this season. One of them is Green, another team that went 22-0. I think that we knew that Green had some special pieces. This was a team that beat East-Tech at the end of last regular season, so obviously they could beat good teams, but they really put it together this season. Not a really tough conference and schedule overall, but hey, they won all their games, and you can't deny them that, and now they're sitting as the top seed in the Canton District. And another team for me is Brunswick. I think that was a team that not a lot of people thought was going to have a very strong year because they lost so much talent. But Brunswick was a team that basically they were rooted in a defensive play. They hit three-point shots when they need to, and they just beat Shaker Heights and Menor in the final week of the season. So that's impressive.
Definitely some surprising teams. I think if we would have taken a poll, what team did you expect to go undefeated through the regular season? The three teams in the top 25 that did probably wouldn't have been the top couple choices with so many guys different leaving and stuff like that. And all right, guys, let's talk about the playoffs now. I know you guys have been waiting for this all year. Tim, what's the thing you're looking forward to most in the playoffs?
The thing I'm looking most forward to is, I'm kind of isolating one thing. I'm going to talk about the Euclid district. This is a district that we kind of deemed already as being the toughest in the area. When you look at the teams in there, Garfield Heights, East-Tech, Kedston, Willoughby South, Bedford, Brush, among others. Only one of those teams is going to get out of that district. And when you look at that, every night you're guaranteed a great matchup. It's just going to be so fun to see how those 4 rounds play out and who's going to come out of that gauntlet and make it down for the regional round. It's going to be so interesting to watch that.
And I think what makes that maybe the most intriguing district, Dave, is the top teams in that district. They all kind of have different strengths against each other. East Tech, some great guards. Garfield Heights, they have that great duo. And then Shaker Heights may have the best player overall in esa-ahmad. So all 3 teams definitely have strengths against each other. What's the district you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm just looking forward to everything overall. I mean, when you get to playoff time, it's the crowd, it's the atmosphere. I mean, when we get to the regional round, you're filling up Cleveland State and University of Akron and the Canton Fieldhouse. These are great, great environments. It's all do or die. It really doesn't get better than that. And we're going to see games right off the bat. I mean, here we are in the first week. Glenville-Kenston's a big game. Midview Rhodes is a big game. We're going to get on Saturday potentially Bedford and Willoughby South. Those are 2 of our top 16 teams in the top 25 poll, and they're playing in the first weekend of the postseason. So it just shows you, how deep and how everything is kind of shaping up here for a great postseason.
And when you look at that game, let's talk about that real quick, Bedford and Willoughby South potentially. You have the Willoughby South team, got a big win against Menor. Kind of went under the radar. They lost at the end of the season to Euclid, but this is still a very good team in Bedford. They had many good games, but then they also have a rain twice. They could have had a chance to beat them, weren't able to get the victory. When you look at that matchup, what would you expect?
I'm going to expect 2 different styles. Willoughby South has more outside shooters. They want to slow it down a little. Bedford's going to try to speed it up. And I think that Bedford has challenged itself a little more. I think the Willoughby South, when they beat Menor, it was a Menor team that was sort of in the middle of injuries and trying to find itself. But I still think it's the best game of the week if it happens.
All right, and one of the coaches in the playoffs is St-Vincent-St-Mary's coach, Dru-Joyce, and we are now joined by Coach Joyce. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you guys this evening?
Not too bad.
Coach, here we are. You've just wrapped up the regular season, 22-0, and I mean, what do you have to say overall about everything that you were able to put together and put together your first undefeated season in 12 years?
Well, it's a testament to the players. We lost a lot of talented guys last year through graduation and transfers, but the core group, they believes that, like I believe, that we could be pretty good, and they, went out and did some things that I don't believe they totally understand. When you were able to go on the road and win the number of games that we won, that's a testament to those guys and just the quality of teams that we played and what we've been able to win and beat. So those are all good things, but now the true test comes.
Coach, Saturday you guys completed your school's first undefeated season in 15 years. Now that you kind of got that out of the way, now you get to focus on the more important part of the season, which is obviously the postseason. How much does the intensity and practice alone change, getting ready for the games as they get more and more important each week?
If the intensity doesn't dial up, shame on you. You're not going to be around very long. That's just how it is because, there's no tomorrow now. Every game, can mean the end of your season. So the guys, our guys understand it. We are lucky that we've had, some guys who were with us last year know what it takes to, at least get there. Now we have to get it all done.
Coach, when you look back at the 22-0 regular season, what was your toughest test or a game that maybe you came out and were actually a little surprised that you were able to still pull out?
Well, that's a tough one. We had some, pretty intense games. But I think, I guess if I had to choose one that, really, to me, spoke volumes about the character of the team was the game against North Central in Indiana. We were down most of the game, down pretty big at one time, and able to come back and win that game on the road in Indianapolis. It wasn't easy. Also, the Walsh game was, that rivalry kind of game. Two teams, 19 at the time, 19-0, and we were 18-0. So, that was pretty intense. But that's not to take anything away from any of the other teams that we've played. They've all been very good. Cleveland Central Catholic was a great game at their place too. So, for me, every game is important in some aspect because I've seen some growth in either an individual or us as a group in every game.
Coach, one of the guys obviously who's had a tremendous season for you, sophomore Henry Badley's really come on, especially in the last couple months. How impressed have you been by his growth as a player this year?
Well, first thing, Henry would want me to correct you and let everyone know he's a junior.
I'm sorry.
But, yeah, no problem, but, Henry has, stepped up, like I said, we've lost a lot of talented players going into the season, so we lost our number 1 and number 2 scorers from last year. So, coming in with those guys gone, there was a void, and Henry, stepped up in a big way, especially here late in the season to help us, close that void. And but he's done it more than just scoring. He's played well on both ends of the floor and played a lot of minutes for us. So, we're excited because we understand and know there's still a lot of growth and a lot of upside with Henry yet.
Coach, here we are. It's playoff time. You'll play your first playoff game this week. You've been through this a lot of times before. What are you telling your team in practice the next couple of days to get them ready for the postseason?
Well, the main thing is you have to respect every team. You can't look past anyone, no matter what their seed is going into the game. You have to go and play those games in such a way that you send a message and you make sure that everyone knows that you're going to be a formidable opponent. So that's what we've talked about today at practice. Is we want to respect the game. We want to make sure that everyone understands that we're here on a mission, and we're about business.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon throughout the postseason, and good luck this week.
All right, thank you.
All right, we are now going to turn our attention over to Division I, and we've got the top 2 seeds in the Euclid District, which, for my money, is the toughest district out there this year, not just in Northeast Ohio, but probably in the state. Garfield Heights coach Sonny Johnson to my left, and East-Tech coach Brett Moore to my right. Sonny, we'll start with you since you are the top seed in the district. We were talking a little beforehand about last year. You had the disappointment of falling early to Euclid. What did you learn about that experience, and how are you using that this year for the postseason?
Well, just make sure the guys are prepared. Some of the guys last year were they were younger, so I don't think they understood what it's like to really play in the postseason and be prepared and practice at a certain level because it's win or move on or lose or go home. So I think just maturity for the guys that we have this year.
Brad, it was the opposite end of the spectrum for you. You guys were able to make it down to Columbus. What does that experience do when you're trying to go through the postseason again now?
The first thing it did was that it took the emphasis off our conference tournament and put it more on the state. So, it was kind of tough getting through the conference because the guys wanted to get to this point in the season.
Brad, we talked a little. I was at your game against Elliott. I mean, you have as tough a road as you're going to find out there with Shaw and then potentially Cleveland Heights and Bedford and then these guys. What is it going to take to make it through that run?
Just take everything one game at a time. I tried my best to make sure that I don't allow my guys to look ahead. Like I said, Shaw, I feel like Shaw is much better than their record, and we're not going to take them lightly, and we're going to give them everything, and I'm not holding anything back in the tournament. Everything that we've been working on in practice, we're going to show it every single game, and just the teams that we play against will have to prepare for it.
Sonny, when you look at your team, one of the strengths is the bench. You have two terrific sophomores in Sean Christian and Marion Jackson. How do they contribute to your team, and what does that extra dimension mean for you guys?
Well, they have a high basketball IQ. They really shoot the ball really well. Sorry about that. They really shoot the ball really well. They make everybody better. You know, they're competitors. That's one thing that's really impressive with them as being sophomores, is that they compete at a high level, and that's very rare to find some kids that's young that can, you know, understand what tournament is about, understand what we're trying to do, understand about that we're trying to get to a state championship. So that's very rare, and it's good to have those guys.
Now, it's not just these two teams. You've got, as I said earlier, Cleveland Heights, Bedford, Willoughby South, Glenville, Kenston, to name a few. What's it going to be like running through this Euclid district?
Well, whoever gets out of it is going to be prepared in the regional. That's the only thing you can ask for, is to be able to compete. You know, like during the regular season, what you want to do is compete against the best teams. So when you're playing in a district as well, you don't mind competing against the best teams. It can only help you when you get to that regional, get to the regionals.
Brett, we know about the guard play, but a player who's really stepped up this year has been Corey Cullum. What has he added to your team, and what sort of void did he fill?
He picked up an offensive role this year. Last year he was primarily defensive and just cleanup. This year he's an option in our offense this year, and he's done that in a way that his defense has not dropped off. Like Friday, you got a chance to see him go up against the big kid from Elliott, and he held the guy to like 10 points, and he's like probably one of the better guys in Akron. So, you know, stand at 6'5" and to hold a 6'9", 290-pound lefty to 12 points, that says a lot about Corey's heart and his character.
Now, when you look at your team, what is it going to take? Like, what does your team need to do well to make it out of the district?
We need to control everyone's guards. That's our whole goal. If we can control the guards, just like I said, you know, Elliott had us at a disadvantage on the inside. Same thing with Cleveland Heights. When we played them Wednesday, we had a disadvantage on the inside, but second half we came out against Heights and controlled the guards, and we controlled the game. Same thing against Elliott. We came out and controlled their guards to start the game, and we shut the game down early.
Garfield Heights, what are they going to need to do to make it out of the Euclid district?
We're going to have to play together, and it all starts on the defensive end of the floor for me, for our team. And just share the ball. I think that's the key. And our guards, to be honest, is going to have to really play good, because that's going to be the key. When you have good guards, you can make a really nice run. So if our guards play the way I think they can play, then hopefully we can make a run.
One more question for you each. I'm not going to ask you about who you're going to play immediately, but you both played very tough schedules this year. Who was the team that you played that really impressed you, who you think could do well in March?
Well, I think Shakers, definitely a team. I have to say them. You know, they're in the conference, they beat us. So I was Shakers, a team, and I was very impressed with Ed's, definitely with their front line. They're big. They play together. They're very well coached. So those two teams were very, very impressive to me.
Brett?
And I'll go out and same thing, piggyback off Coach Johnson, and just say St. Ed's going against those guys, they always find a way to win. You know, like I said, we went toe-to-toe with them, tied at the end of each quarter. Fourth quarter, they made an adjustment that I didn't have a counter for, and they capitalized on it and kept their foot on the gas. And then I think going out of division, I think Beachwood has a solid chance of going far in the tournament, even though it's not Division I, but playing against Beachwood and seeing what they bring, they're a lot better than what they get credit for.
Great. All right, guys, well, good luck. We might see you face off a little further down the line, but it's one game at a time here. We want to thank you for joining us. And we have plenty of playoff content all season long. One of the things that we ran today was we ran a poll. We were looking at teams that might be flying under the radar at this point. And one of those teams was Benedictine, who came up with a big win against Walsh Jesuit last week. And they're a team that can really put a nice run together. Another team is Cleveland Heights that we were just talking with Brett about what they bring to the table and how they can really put together a run here. Even though they have a poor record so far this season, they have done a great job overall with their youth and their experience and really building up what might be on the horizon for them. Elyria is another team that they've got a great player in Blake Furcron. who can really take off and dominate a game. And they're over in the Brecksville district where they're playing teams like Midview and they're playing Rhodes. And they might be able to make a run to the district semifinal against Berea Mid-Park. And then that last team in there, Stowe, really well-coached team. Dave Close is a tremendous coach who really has developed a young team into making them a contender at this point. And hey, they might play Green in a district semifinal. These two teams met the first game of the regular season, and it was Green who edged it out by 1 point. So a lot of under-the-radar teams who will be fun to watch.
No doubt about that, Dave. And today we're back, and we got two of the top players here. We just spoke with two of the top coaches. Now we got two of the top players here. To my right, we got Shaker Heights' Esa-ahmad, and to my left, we got Cleveland Central Catholic senior Antwon-lillard, both of whom are entering their last postseason. So we're just going to get a chance to talk to these guys real quick going into it. And we'll start with Esa. You are Player of the Year last year. You're coming into your senior season. When you look at the way your game has evolved, what do you think has been the biggest difference, in your senior season?
The biggest difference is it has been my body physically. Just coming in, trying to lead my team to, hopefully a state championship.
All right, Antwon, you guys came into the season with some big expectations. You guys won a district title last year. This year you're off to another good start, I believe 18-4, entering the postseason. When you look at the expectations you had for your regular season, how do you feel like it's lived up to what you wanted it to be so far?
It's lived up. I felt like we stayed together this year. We had a phenomenal year this year. Just coming out and just playing, staying together, and we always had a goal and said we wanted to go out and win states. And I feel like if we continue to move forward and stick together and buy into what the coaches are saying, we will get down to Columbus.
All right, Esa, after the season, obviously you're going to go play your college basketball for Bob Huggins and West Virginia down in Morgantown. What are you most looking forward to, when you get down there to start your college career?
Of course, I'm going to have to adjust to the college life, the classes, but I know they're going to get me right as far as, my body. So I'm just looking forward to going down there and working as hard as I can.
Have you gotten a chance to watch any of the West Virginia games? And if so, how excited are you to go and play with some of those guys you see on TV?
All the time. I watch almost every game. I'm very excited. I'm real close to all the players that's down there, so it's real exciting.
And Antwon, you're got a college decision to make as well. What schools, what you're looking at, are standing out to you the most? And among those, what do you think is going to be the biggest reason you pick, for example, like one school over another?
I got a couple of schools. I have St. Peter's, Cleveland State, Kent State. I also have a couple of looks. I have Arizona. I can't think of this. Manhattan, Arkansas State. I have a lot of options open for me. I'm not focused on college right now. I'm really focused on getting down to state, just staying together with my team. So I know college is going to come. I'm coming in, working hard every day, and by the time the season's over with, hopefully I have a state championship, then college will come.
Right, and two of the schools you mentioned, Cleveland State and Kent State, obviously very local schools. Have you gotten any pressure from, any of the teammates, any friends, family that, want you to stay close so, they can go see you in person after the season?
No, my family want me to make the decision for my own. I feel like either staying home or going far. I just got to make the best decision for me. If I stay home, well, I take that back. Well, my father, he actually told me if I stay home, I actually would get lazy. So he preferred me to go further out. So, I'd rather go further out so I can decide, live out on my own and, see different things and learn how to take care of myself and learn how to take care of my body and learn how to be a grown man. So my decision, if I do make a decision, I'll probably be out of Ohio.
Okay, very cool. All right, now we're going to ask each of these guys some questions, kind of look back on their season a little bit more, get to know a little bit more about them. We'll start with Esa. What moment or game this season, stands out to you as like your favorite moment so far of the season?
Best game, I'm gonna have to go with our first game. But we had a lot of games that was pretty exciting. But I'm gonna have to go with the first game.
Cool. And Antwon, how about you?
I'll have to say at Walsh University against, I forget the name, 22 Academy. I went 13 for 15 from the field, 5 and 5 from the three, and 35 points. I feel like that was the best game for me.
Yeah, you definitely had a tremendous showing out there at the Dunk for Diabetes against 22 Feet Academy out of South Carolina. Esa, again, this one for you. The toughest player you've had to go up against this season?
Toughest player,
So I know
say Kipper Nichols.
Kipper Nichols saying that's always a good matchup. You know, you two guys going head to head. I know they got the better of you guys earlier on, but I'm sure you may have another chance for redemption possibly, you know, further down the road. Okay, Antwon, same question to you. Toughest matchup this
Toughest matchup for me this year. Let me think off the top of my head.
I know you guys have gone up against some tough teams this year.
Some tough teams. I'll probably have to say Josh Williams from St-Vincent-St-Mary.
Josh.
Yeah, I competed with him. They came out and he played well that night, so I'll have to say Josh Williams.
And Josh Williams having a tremendous season for St. V. Esa, the best road environment you've had a part in this season?
The best road environment would probably have to be Medina.
Because of the swarm, those fans like.
Yeah, everything. It's intense, you know, and then just, you know, to get that win in there is just, it was just relieving.
Yeah, and I know from going down there, those fans are very loud, they're very intense. They're close to the court too, and on all sides, which has got to be tough for you. Antwon, toughest road environment for you?
I'll probably have to say Huber Heights win.
Yeah,
It was tough for us. The weather was bad. It took us 6 hours. It was really supposed to take 3.5 hours, and we got down there. Game didn't start till 10:30 at night. So I'll probably have to say Huber Heights win.
Yeah, it was a long road trip. I still remember that snowstorm. Wasn't fun at all. And last question to go to both of you guys, and I'll have one more after that. If you could compare yourself to an NBA player, I mean, you yourself or comparisons you've heard of yourself, which, past or present, which sticks out most to you and why, Esa?
You said what player?
Yeah, like if you've compared yourself to an NBA player, if a coach has compared you to one, or a teammate or a family member or whatever, if they said, hey, you seem to play like this guy from the NBA or whatever.
I would like to say, I would like to think of myself as probably LeBron, but I look at myself as him because you know, he can do it all. Pass, I think that's my best attribute. I love to pass. Let to see my teammates going, but I just try to be an all-around player. So that's what I try to model my game after.
All right, Antwon, same question.
Like he said, I would like to be compared as Rudy Gay. I mean, that was my favorite player, but everyone compared me to Tayshaun Prince. Tayshaun Prince, he could rebound the ball. I could rebound the ball. He could score. He could shoot. He got a long wingspan, so they compared me to Tayshaun Prince.
It's not a bad comparison. Definitely a very underrated player. And last question for each of you guys. You guys are seniors. This is your last postseason. Esa, first, how fulfilling would it be, you know, if you end your high school career at Valley Senior Arena, whether it be, you know, Final Four, or I'm sure you'd much rather, you know, end it in a state championship game?
It'd probably be the best feeling probably in my life. You know, all 4 years, you know, ending at Cleveland State, but I'm looking to end it with a state championship my final year, and that'd be one of the greatest feelings ever.
All right, and Antwon, same question.
It'd be the best feeling for me. I mean, like he said, it's been a long 4 years. Throughout the years, the Cleveland Central Capitals, I put in a lot of work. We lost a lot of guys, Vontae Montgomery, DeMario Cooper, those guys, Greg Snyder. I mean, we lost a lot of guys. We lost coaches, and I just put in a lot of work. I mean, we ever since I went to Cleveland Central Catholic, it was always the goal to win state since my freshman year. So to pull out a state championship my senior year would be the best thing that ever happened for me.
Very cool. All right, we want to thank esa-ahmad and antwon-lillard for joining us. And among the other things we've done with our, you know, boys basketball content throughout the season is getting fans a chance to voice in who they think should be the cleveland.com boys basketball player of the year. We've had this going on throughout the season where we go through several players and rank their performances, what we think. And we actually got a chance to put up a recent poll for the Boys Basketball Player of the Year. Right now, the fans voted about 188 votes right now on cleveland.com. Right now, the front runner, about 26.6% of the vote, is Sonny Johnson, the high-flying sophomore from East-Tech, with 50 votes. In a close second, you got Devon Andrews, the playmaker from Lorain, 43 votes. In third, you heard Antwon-Lillard, just mentioned him, Josh Williams from St-Vincent-St-Mary in third. Fourth, you got Markel's teammate, Anthony Carmen, the senior, 18 votes. And fifth, round out that starting five, last year's Cleveland.com Player of the Year, esa-ahmad. So remember to go to cleveland.com. We'll have the come vote on this poll and tell us who you think is the 24 and 2015 Cleveland.com Boys Basketball Player of the Year.
All right, guys, before we wrap up the show, I know we usually don't do it on the show. We usually do it on the podcast, but we are going to wrap this up with our infamous could, should, will. And Tim, start with you. What could happen this first week of the playoffs?
Well, I think what could happen is I think Perry could be a real contender in that Ashtabula district. It's a team we haven't really talked about, but I think Perry is a dangerous 3 seed. They do have some great size with guys like Luke Fredell in the paint. I really like what I saw out of Jackson Bergeshaw. You know, even though they lost to Kent State earlier the game I saw them, they really showed tremendous size. It's a pretty good team, and I think it's a team that's going to raise some eyebrows out there.
Dave?
I'm going to go that Bedford could beat Willoughby South. Before I get into that, it's just great to have guys like esa-ahmad and Antwon-lillard in here. I mean, Esa's heading to a Big 12 program. We got Antwon, for my money, is, you know, he should be headed to one of those big-time programs, too. He always impresses. But back to the question. We've got Bedford, Willoughby South. It's going to be a great game, and I think Bedford could get a big win and really get some momentum going into a potential game against East-Tech.
I agree with that, and it'll be interesting to see how esa-ahmad does in the Octagon of Doom, known as Manhattan, Kansas. And what I think could happen is I think Cleveland Heights could give East-Tech a really, really good game. I think every year there's that team that maybe doesn't go on a deep run, but takes one of the top teams and really shows them that, hey, we're going to be a team to reckon with in the future. And Cleveland Heights has a great, great backcourt freshman. I think they could give East-Tech a real good game. All right, Tim, what should happen?
What should happen is I feel like, you know, in the Grafton district, those top 4 seeds should, you know, it should be chalk going into district semifinals, which means Brunswick, Lorain on one side, and I think that's going to be Lorain's toughest test in the district because of, as I mentioned, Brunswick's playing well. They've won 5 of the last 6 games, including beating Shaker in the season finale. They just play such great defense. That zone defense could cause Lorain some problems, especially if Brunswick is able to establish a tempo, which they're able to do so well. But I look at Brunswick as being the team that should be Lorain's toughest test in that district.
My should is I think that Holy Name should win the North Ridgefield district. They've got teams like Keystone and Bay in there, and they're, you know, having good seasons. But Holy Name beat Bay by 30 points earlier this season. They've got a great freshman in Dwayne Cohill, and I think they're really getting hot at the right time.
My should is going to be more, I don't think we're going to see very many upsets to definitely start the playoffs. I think the top teams should make it to district semifinals and district finals, which should set up some terrific games in the next 2 weeks. Tim, what will happen?
What will happen is, well, I'll go back a little bit. Last year we had Richmond Heights and Cornerstone Christian both make it the D4 regionals at the Cannon Fieldhouse. That will happen again this year. I think both teams will win their district. Richmond Heights, with that experience of getting to the regional final last year, coming oh so close to making it to Columbus, just 1 basket away from beating St. Thomas Aquinas. And Cornerstone Christian, they lost Brian G., but they do have a very balanced squad. They're a 3 seed in their district, but I think they have the ability to get out of the district, and I think they will.
All right, Dave?
I'm going to say that Villa Angela St. Joseph's toughest game will be against Warrensville Heights in the district final. I think that'll be the big, big test for them in this postseason. I know that, you know, we got some good teams across the state in Division III. St. Henry's having a good year. Youngstown Ursuline, we've seen them a couple times. But Warrensville Heights has been waiting for this game since the last time these 2 teams played. They're going to be ready. They have great guard play, and I think it's going to be a great game.
All right, and for me, I think St. Vincent-St-Mary, everyone's talking about what they've done this season. I'm going to say Cleveland Central Catholic will be the toughest test for them to make it back to make it to state and complete this undefeated season. A lot of exciting basketball for sure in the next couple weeks. Stay tuned to cleveland.com for all your coverage. We'll be back Wednesday on the High School Boys Basketball Podcast. And for Tim Bielik and David-Cassilo, I'm Mark Kern.